In this video, we're going to talk about activity modes and how they impact the Gantt charts and the activities and the length of the bars on the Gantt chart. So right now, whenever you, let's look at this one here, top line results meeting. When I double click on the icon here of the ultimate owner or accountable person, we see there are two individuals that are actually assigned 100% allocation to working on this one activity top line results meeting. Now, under activity mode, we see that the scheduling mode is normal. Now, what that means is as you add more and more resources, this bar here does not move in size. In other words, if it takes 4 days to work on it and there's two people, you might think that it'll be done in 2 days because it's a 4-day effort. But right now, the activity mode is normal, which is different from effort driven, this third one down here. And so you'll see here, if I change it to effort driven, you'll notice now that the bar has snapped to Monday, Tuesday. And the reason is that I've entered the actual effort being 4 days, and the schedule mode is effort driven, different from normal. And the number of resources is 2, fully allocated. And so Leankor will calculate the duration of that 4 days effort as being 2 days because 2 people are on it. If I were to double click here again on this icon, which opens up the resource tab, and remove an individual, it doubles the scheduled time to 4 days to equal the actual 4 days effort. In the effort, you can put 4 days, weeks, hours, whichever unit of time you want to use. So that's effort driven. Let's now look at the next activity mode, double clicking on the icon again, looking at activity mode. Now, if you want to make sure that the start and end date of an activity never moves, even though you might be adding or subtracting different resources, you would use fixed duration. So you hit save there, and whenever you drag the bar, you're guaranteed the start and the end date of that bar will always remain, no matter how many resources or the percentage of time that resource is allocated to that activity. Now let's look at dynamic assignment. Now dynamic assignment is when I double click on the icon there and you go to resource assignment here, you see we have here Irina, and she's 50% allocated. Now when you switch the scheduling mode to dynamic assignment, the bottom one here, what happens is, let's say you were to add a resource, Emilio here, and we'll search for Emilio. And let's say we're going to try and add them at 100%. But what happens on dynamic assignment is it knows that 50% is allocated as far as effort on this. When you add Emilio, it splits that 50%, 25-25, equally among the resources. So as you add more and more resources, it will always ensure the percentage of effort or allocation across all the different resources remains constant to what was there before. So 50% was there before, I add 2 people, and now dynamic assignment makes sure that the start and end dates don't move. However, the percent allocations for these remain constant, and that will impact your resource management analysis when you use Leankor's resource management module to visualize how many hours per day certain individuals are allocated to projects. Let's now see how the manually scheduled setting works. So when you double click on a resource, we see, let me hover here, Sarah is 100% allocated. Now if I go to activity mode and I switch on manually scheduled, it changes how the Leankor tool will actually behave with dependencies. For example, if I were to drag this to the right a little bit, it correctly puts this 3002 TLR activity over the weekend. Weekend days are not work days, so it stretches it out. So this is a correct behavior for this actual this dependency arrow you have here. Now, if I were to double click on Sarah here, which opens up the resource schedule window, and go to activity mode and say that this is a manually scheduled activity, what that now means is only the human being or the person working with this Gantt chart can actually move and affect change to the schedule of this activity. And so when anything happens on the Gantt chart, you see here that the activity arrow, sorry, the dependency arrow still shows. However, the bar doesn't move because it's manually scheduled.